I think no one can hear me. Leave a comment. Tell us what you want to see us make, what you want to see us cooking. If there's a recipe of mine that you've seen but you're worried or unsure of how to make it perfectly, let me know. We're gonna be doing this every single week for quite a long time now, and I'll be very happy to show you anything that you'd like to know. Butter chicken curry with raita. Okay, here we go. That's what we're gonna make. And okay, so if you're watching this and you can hear me loud and clear and you're excited to see what we're gonna make, leave a comment, like, share it, and get ready. So on this post, is it true that on this post there is a recipe already?
Not yet.
Not yet. We're going to post the recipe just now, so stay tuned and save this video, because whether you're watching it on YouTube or Facebook, this video is going to be available to you forever. So if you want to make butter chicken later on in life, save the video, because you can download the recipe later on and then you can make it whenever you like. And I'm going to be making it in real time. So it's not like the highlights reel where you just get the 30 seconds. I'm going to make this thing in real time, and you're going to be able to watch me cook it along as you cook it along at home. So we've got some comments. Let's see who's here. Hello. Audio is good. Marina Konstantinopoulos. Hey, Maria. I got you. Sorry, actually, I have a friend called Marina Konstantatos. You won't believe it. So I thought that was her. But now I know which Maria we're dealing with. Okay, so let me take you through the ingredients. And if you look on the right-hand side of your screen, you're going to see all that. You can actually leave that there. So I'm going to teach you how to make the raita first. We've got half a cucumber here. We've got some yogurt. And then I've got a clove of peeled garlic. Alrighty. So I'm going to teach you how to make that. And then the secret weapon for vegetarians who want to band, we've got some pan-fried paneer. So you can also could you use halloumi?
No, I wouldn't use halloumi.
Okay.
You can use halloumi, I guess.
I've got wens here in the background for those of you, and you'll get a sneak peek of wens later. But there we go. That's pan-fried paneer, which is an amazing substitute for chicken. While we're waiting for
Indian cheese.
It's an Indian cheese. This is my kali rice pilaf, which is an amazing substitute for, always get so confused here, for normal rice pilaf. It smells a bit like cauliflower. It's obviously slightly different to rice. And then I'm going to show you all of the ingredients for the sauces as we go. So before I get cracking on the curry sauce, I want to tell you that the most important thing to do when you are making butter chicken curry is to get your raita done first, because the garlic needs to actually infuse into the garlic needs to infuse into the yogurt. Okay, so if you'll pay attention over here, so you can do it. My wife hates cucumber peel. I love cucumber peel. And so we're going to cut it down the middle. And this is the first hack, because how many of you, and leave a comment if you have, how many of you have made cucumber raita and then it's just spilled all of its juice into the yogurt, and then you started off with this lovely thick Greek yogurt, and like 10 minutes later it's runny and it's sloppy and it's yucky. That's the technical term for not nice that my daughter taught me. Yucky. So the first thing is to take the pips out. So what I do is I take a tablespoon and you just cut it down the middle and you scrape it. So you can scrape it out like that. Scrape out the seeds. It doesn't need to be an oil painting, just be loosely scraped, and then you can see there's like a channel. I don't know, there's actually a name for that. That's a canapé. Anyway, so scraping, we're scraping. And then you can just turf this. You're not going to use it unless you're going to start a cucumber patch. And then you want to get a grater. And you want to go on the fine grate. Because remember, even though you go on the thin grate, which can be like fancier or finer, the thick grate, did I say go on the thick grate or the fine grate? You want to go on the thick grate, because that's going to give you crunch, texture. And texture is what you need. Because one of the things that happens when you give up carbohydrates is you miss out on crunchy things. So let's go for the crunch here. All right. So grated. Easy on the fingers. And next one. So this is basically tzatziki. And with Maria, with a surname like that, I'm sure you've made at least one batch of tzatziki in your life. Okay, so here we go. We've got all of our juicy cucumber here. And now the problem with this is that in just a few moments, it's going to just squirt all its juice over everything. So what I do, and I must tell you now, if you're a male and you're watching this, don't tell your wife that this is the technique you use. You got to hide this, do it in secret. And my wife never watches my cooking demos, so I can get away with this. But and you will see why. Okay, you got to take a good quality, strong dishcloth. Okay, make sure it's nice and clean, like this. And you lay it down on the cutting board. And then you kind of, if you've ever rolled a cigarette before, I know who you are. You put it in the middle, and then you roll it up like a little cigarette. And actually, we'll do it this way so you can see it. And then you roll it again, nice and tight. And you keep rolling it. And then you've got this kind of like cigar, and then you twist it in opposite directions. So twist, 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 and then eventually you'll get to the point where you feel the cloth is about to tear. So this is bad for two reasons. The one is you soil the cloth with green, and the other is that you actually end up tearing the cloth because you squeeze it so hard. So one, and you'll see nothing's quite happening yet. Let's see if we can get this a little bit closer. Oh, other way, other way. Alrighty. I want you to see the droplets forming on the side of this thing. Oh, there we go. Did you see all the green juice coming out? So there we go. Now the thing is, it's such a thick cloth that the cloth has actually sucked up most of the juice. But you can see in here, there's now cucumber juice. And if you look at this, you can see this cloth is totally soaked. Now, as Maria's just said, you can leave salt in it, and the salt slowly draws out the cucumber juice, and then I would still wring it out anyway. The thing with the salt method is that you can't do it in like 2 minutes. And so have a look at what this looks like now. So this is just much quicker. And now you've got almost compressed, beautifully dry cucumber. So instead of this releasing its juice, it might actually now suck the moisture from the yogurt into it, which means you're going to get a beautifully crunchy and thick yogurt. Okay, so now I've got my yogurt over here. Boom. This is double thick Greek yogurt from Woolworths. It's not organic, from like a wild sheep in Patagonia, unfortunately. But but we do what we can with what we've got. Okay, there we go. Cucumber sorted. And this exhibit A is why I will have a fight tonight. Okay, there we go. Soiled dishcloth number 1. All right, so now the last ingredient is the garlic. Now you can mince the garlic if you like mincing. Otherwise, you can just use a microplane. And mincing, very Capetonian mincing. Okay, here we go. So just grinding it away on the microplane. And I was asked earlier, what do we do with this little bit? I don't know. You could leave it in for the lucky person who gets the mother load. Okay. All right. Ooh, salt and pepper. Salt and pepper. Okay. And then always season. So salt. Good whack. This is not salt. This is actually pepper, everyone. Those of you wondering why it was black. And then a little bit of salt. A little bit more. Okay. And then you can put a squeeze of lemon juice in. The only thing to note with lemon juice is that, especially with tomato-based dishes, there is acidity in the tomato, which isn't really a game changer. But the lemon juice also thins out the yogurt. So if you want like super, super, super thick, look at this goodness. Hey, how good is that? That's like,
So good.
hey, and that garlic. Someone's gonna get the big crunchy piece of burny garlic. Yum. Okay, so now if I was gonna imagine this is the morning and the guests are coming this evening. Now I'm gonna wrap this in cling wrap and stick it in the fridge until this evening when I serve the butter chicken. But right now, because it's live, we're gonna do this in like 10 minutes. So I'm gonna leave it out of frame, and you're gonna imagine that it's been in the fridge all day. Okay, so what have we got now? Now we're gonna do the butter chicken. So, okay, the other thing that you have to do in advance, which I've actually done like way in advance, is marinate the chicken. So, in theory, you can do butter chicken without marinating the chicken. and it's very difficult to do it the way that it's done traditionally in India. But let me explain that. So what you've got when you make butter chicken marinade is you put spices in yogurt. So it's cumin, coriander, turmeric, ginger, and garlic in double thick yogurt. So it's a bit of spice and then the yogurt, and then you mix that up with the chicken pieces. So that's what's in here, and you can see that in the recipe when you click on the links later on. Wendy's going to put that up there. But the real thing is that the yogurt is actually tenderizing the chicken. So the enzymes in the yogurt that kind of like eat away or dissolve the proteins in the chicken. So if you leave it overnight or for half a day even, it's going to make the chicken super tender. So the way that the Indians cook it properly, they stick it on a stick, and then they put this chicken in the tandoor oven. So what happens is you're not actually frying the chicken in a pan, you're cooking it under immense heat, but it's wood fired. So what happens is the yogurt the chicken's actually steaming on the inside because it's not getting direct contact with the heat. The yogurt's almost protecting it with this protective layer. So it's slightly different to frying it in a pan. Anyway, what we're going to do now is we are going to, I'm trying to think, should we make the sauce first? Or should we fry off the chicken first? The thing is, I think it's better to make the sauce first. That's because when you cook chicken, especially if you're cooking breast, as soon as it's cooked, if you cook it just a little bit more, it's going to go dry. If you're cooking thighs, they're pretty much invincible, so you can do whatever you want. But if we're doing breast, which this recipe calls for, we want the chicken to go straight out of the pan into the sauce, cook through, and then eat it straight away. So we're going to go over and make the sauce now. So I'll show you, we're going to have to change camera angles, and that's going to get complicated. So I want to show you all the ingredients before things get out of control. Okay. So what we've got here is we're going to do it in this order. So I've laid everything out in the right order. We're going to go some cardamom and some cinnamon. And then we've got cucumber and coriander. And what we're going to do is we're going to fry these off in the butter just to get them nice and toasty and caramelized. Then we're going to add in ginger and garlic. And then right at the end, and then we're going to add in a whole lot of wet stuff. So we're going to add in tin tomato, coconut cream, normal cream. And then at the end, we're going to add cayenne pepper, paprika, and Garam Masala. Okay, so let's go over and do that. Now, we have to be very brave because I have to move the camera and it just has to arrive in its magic position. Taking the power out, so we're scary. Alrighty, let's go over. Here we go, there's wins. Okay, and now we will aim towards the general frying pan direction over there. Okay, that's my Sally Ann pan. It was a wedding gift from my co-author of Real Meal Revolution. You can bring that over because it's going to get, this is my microphone. Okay, so fire it up. Let's go fire it up properly. Oh, make sure that's cool. Cool. In the pan. And first things first, butter. Let's see, that's probably better. How are we looking there? Cool. Okay, we're good. In fact, I wonder if there we are. Hey, how's okay, let's do this because we're going to do it all at once. Let's see if we can get action on this pan here. There we go. Boom. Okay, so now you can see the pan and you can see me. Okay, comment if that's a great camera angle if you're very impressed. I'm very impressed. This is like, then Wayne's just ran away. Okay, there we go. At least you know she's a real person. She's not like a Facebook group bot. Okay, so we've got this butter melting nicely. And if you've got a question about curry, I want to hear it. Throw it in there. We've got impressive cumin, Miss Willie's yogurt. Maria, very engaged. Audio's good. Let's see what else. I want to see if you can hit me with a question that I don't know how to answer about curry. The incredibly impossible curry quiz. All right, so now before this goes nutty, which it will very soon, I'm going to add in this stuff. So we said cinnamon stick. In fact, I'm going to break this up a little bit. Not too much because I don't want to be eating like bark in my meal, but just a little bit.
How long can you keep your spices in your cupboard?
Oh, how long can you keep spices in the cupboard? That's a goodie. Yeah, because some of our spices we found today were a bit sort of stale and stagnant. So don't break this up too much, otherwise it does flake and become a bit barky, and no one likes to eat bark. And then the cardamom we're going to chuck in. Now, the cardamom whole, as you can see, this is like a whole. This is like a whole cardamom thing. Pod. I said pod. There we go. A whole cardamom pod. They're not going to release as much flavor. So what you can do is take. Oh, I've got the perfect thing for this. No one can guess what I'm about to pull out. Thank you. This is a muddler. So this is for making gin and tonics and mojitos, I think. So I have a great use for it, not gin, but you just muddle these spices. So they're not grinding them, but I'm just bashing them open. There we go. That's releasing all of the flavor out of these cardamom pods without grinding them too severely. And the next person to have a gin with this muddler is going to ask me some questions. Okay. Okay, so now in this demonstration, this is what I give to my people. We've sacrificed a dishcloth and a muddler in one sitting. Okay, so now you can see it's foaming. It's if you just, it's pushing out the most amazing fragrances, really lovely. And now we're going to throw in the cumin and the coriander. It's going to get a little bit jammy. Cumin, coriander. Keep frying that. You can see it's foaming. Foaming is good. And the reason you do this is because when you add spices to a wet mixture, in other words, if you add it to water, what happens to the spices is they actually get, they just boil. But the way to extract the most flavor from the spices is actually to add them to oil, because when you fry them, they infuse the fat that you're cooking them in with the flavors from the spices. So before it burns, we're going to add in the garlic and the ginger, and then that's going to take like 2 seconds. So we do this for like 1 or 2 seconds, give it a quick flash fry, and you can see it's catching, it's caramelizing nicely. This is the part where you have to be quite sort of like on top of it. This is not the point to go outside and chill or answer the phone. Pay close attention here. And then straight away, before things get out of hand, you're going to deglaze with the tomato sauce. So pour the tomato sauce in. And then you're going to use the moisture from the tomato sauce to actually lift all that sediment. So you would have seen that before we added the wetness, there was actually sediment forming on the bottom of the pan. So there was like a bit of burn and stuff. And now, because we've added the water and we've used the paddle to clean it, actually lifted a lot of that off.
It smells great.
Good. Wendy agrees. All right. Well, there was a curry leaf somewhere in this recipe. So what we're going to do now is we're going to reduce this by half. So we're going to bring it up to the heat, and we're going to wait for it to get like a bit thick. And what's going to happen when you reduce it, raw tomato is quite acidic. Okay, and we want to have, let's put this up a little bit. Raw tomato is quite acidic, and so what happens when we reduce tomato sauce, it actually gets sweeter. So some of the tomato caramelizes in the pan a little bit, frying a little bit off, but when you reduce it, it cooks. There we go. We got sound again. Yes, we should have sound. Or do you want to mute this and just put sound on mine? And then let's make your phone on silent. Please hold. No? We're having some sound issues here. Oh, yeah, we just do this. There we go. Okay, we should be bulletproof with sound now. Everyone, I'm getting thumbs up. It's all good. Cool. So while we were sorting out the sound, Wayne's back on the pan. Back on the pan. Okay. We've got this sauce, and you can see it's reduced. It's getting nice and thick and jammy. That's where we want it to be. Okay, if the sound is good, just give me a thumbs up. Okay, good. We've got the sound back. So I don't want you to just stand and watch me stirring this forever and ever. But we're getting there. So now it has reduced and it's gotten slightly thicker. You only need it to get this thick, and then you're kind of good to go with the next ingredient. Come on, there we go. Nice and clear. All right. So the next move is to add cream and coconut cream. Okay, so we're going to add cream and coconut cream now. And you can hear it's starting to sizzle. That means it's getting nice and thick and juicy and good. And then we're going to go over and we're going to seal the chicken. And we should be good to go then. All right. Okay, here we go. This is coconut cream. And this is cream. Now, if you have fresh curry leaves, this is a good time to add the fresh curry leaves. Highly, highly recommend. And now we're just going to let this boil. So mix it around. And because it's got cream, for some reason, when you put cream into sauces, you can let them boil and they don't really burn at the bottom. That might not be all sauces. And please don't, test my theory before leaving it and walking away. But when I say it doesn't burn, I mean it doesn't catch. Okay, so I was talking about my mother. So she says the best curry powder to use is actually not one specific curry powder, but to take the Woolworths medium, the Woolworths mild, and the Woolworths hot and combine them together. And she's found that is actually the best curry powder. So she makes curry beans for a braai. In South Africa, we take baked beans, fry onions, and we add curry powder. And we serve that with like boerewors rolls and stuff. It's the best accompaniment to like a chicken braai. So she'll do that, and it's amazing every single time. Properly amazing. So if that's what you want to use your curry powder for, do that. What else do you use curry powder for? I mean, all the normal traditional curries use their own sort of spice mixture. Anyway, what do you use curry for? Tell me in the comments. Okay, now we're going to seal off the chicken. So I'm going to move the camera. Just imagine that boils in your imagination while I'm doing other stuff. And now we're going to move the camera to there. And yes, that's the camera that we're using. It's just a phone. It's actually Wendy's phone. Okay, so fire up the heat. We're going to put it on full. And the reason we want it on full is because we want maximum heat. Because maximum heat is going to give us maximum color, and maximum color is going to give us good flavor. So we want that roasted flavor, but over and above the roasted flavor, we also want the chicken to get color before it actually gets cooked through. So if you cook it on a medium heat or low heat, it's going to like sit and simmer in its own juices, which is like the worst thing you could ever do. And so what we want to do is get a decent layer of fat around in this pan, some butter, and then and when that butter is like bubbling and it looks like it's about to go brown, that is the moment of greatness when you drop the meat in to give it a good like. It should make that sound. Okay. Never knew where to use curry. Yeah, I know. A lot of people see the curry and they know that once upon a time they bought it for like a recipe and they can't remember what it was for, and then it sits in the cupboard forever and ever and ever. There we go. There's some some more butter. There we go. Nice and hot. Thank you, Randy. Okay. And now I'm going to get my tongue. Well, a non-stick tongue here. Alrighty, so this is my pancake pan. Got a story about pancake pans, I'll tell you one day. It's not appropriate for this class. Alright. There we go. So you can see the butter has actually gone like a bit brown. It's what we call, in cookery, we call it noisette. Noisette means hazelnut. So it's when the butter's gone nutty. Okay, you're getting that. Let's make it sound. The cobra, my son would say. Okay, drop this in. Probably go a little bit more hardcore, faster. There we go. Lots of sizzling here, and you don't want to like toss it around. You want to leave it where it is so that it forms a crust. There we go. Yes. And by the way, you could smell this. You'd be like, smells good. Okay. And then we've got the nutty butter on the other side, about to go nutty. There we go. And let that go a little bit longer, just because it doesn't look hot enough yet. So, like I said, the heat's super important. And if you've got a great non-stick pan, that's also really helpful. Goes a long way, because when you're cleaning fried yogurt off the bottom of a frying pan, it can really take the fun out of your supper. Okay, there we go. And now this one. Are we hot enough in there? Yeah, hang on. Aha. I want to get it extra hot, so we're going to bring out the big guns. There we go. Sizzle, sizzle, baby. And by the way, what I'm doing with the pan, getting it, if you ever read any of my recipes, I often say, get your pan stinking hot. Now, some people are like, how can a frying pan be so hot that it stinks? Well, stinking just means that it's really, really hot. So I don't like to say smoking hot, because then I get lots of hate mail about oils and being like denatured and everything. But really, really hot. It's probably better for flavor, but not as good for health. But stinking hot means like hot enough to brown the butter. So if you're wondering what the technical temperature is, whatever the heat is when butter starts going brown, that's how hot you want your pan when I say stinking hot. Okay, that is beautiful. And the sauce in the background, I don't know if you can see it here, but it is reducing nicely. It's catching a tiny bit, but nothing major. Give it a little. And by the way, something I didn't tell you, I use a flat edge instead of a wooden spoon because it's very good for cleaning the bottom of the pan as you go. So if you use a flat edge, you can never really burn whatever's in your pan. And when you cook like 30 different dishes at the same time, you'd be surprised how easy it is to burn whatever it is you're making. There's a classic line in my restaurant days where we always used to have to roast pine nuts, which per kilogram, apart from like truffles, is the most expensive thing in the kitchen. And we used to roast pine nuts, and we do like a kilogram at a time in a massive tray. And then everyone used to burn them all the time. It was like the one thing everyone forgot in the oven. So we found ways to really like irritate people who had burnt the pine nuts. So you'd go up to someone and you go stand next to them and you say, Jonno, what's black and sits in the oven? And then you'd be like, I can't remember. And then you just say, your pine nuts. And then you walk away. And then someone has to like do the run of shame to the oven and grab the pine nuts. And then you just watch their heart sink for like 20 minutes where they figure out how they're going to tell the boss that they burnt like 1,000 rands worth of nuts. So there we go. What you will notice here is we've got some color. So that's not burnt, by the way. The technical term for that is caramelized. And if you have to put this in a tandoor, which is like a 1,000-degree oven, you're going to get plenty of color. And there's going to be charred bits and burnt bits and probably a few you have to sacrifice because of the heat. So this is totally fine to have heat this serious and to have color this serious. And it's just going to add flavor. That's like charred bit is going to add fantastic flavor to whatever you're making.
So don't be afraid. Embrace it. Okay, this is gold as well. I'm glad we switched pans. Okay, now I'm going to turn the heat off. So what we've got, and let's see if I can show you. So I'm just seeing how close I can get this to you. There we go. Okay, so what you'll see there is it's still raw in the middle. It's raw, but it is seared. And that's what we wanted. We wanted color, but we don't want it to be cooked through. And the reason for that is that you want it to cook through only just before you eat it. Because if you cook it through too late, then it's going to go dry. Remember, we're dealing with breast here. So I've got the sauce in the background here. Sauce is ticking along beautifully. In fact, what I can do is bring the sauce and pop it on this side so we can see everything cooking at the same time. Yeah, that's fine. That's hot enough. We've got my sauce. Bang the heat on. Turn that one off. Okay. Now, for the most part, this is actually done. It just needs to thicken up a tiny bit more. And so now we're going to talk about how to serve this stuff. So I'm doing vegetarian and I'm doing non-vegetarian, or whatever we call that, omnivorous. And we're going to get our plates ready. So I'm taking this off the heat. That's going to be cooked, almost cooked through. We're just going to give it a lot of rev in the pan when we serve it. Hello from Belgium. Dang, I missed the first 25 minutes of you cooking the recipe. It's looking good. That's great. Well, the good news is that you can watch the recording here to me. It's going to be great. Okay. Oh, gardening. Okay. This is, I keep missing the camera. There we go. That is fresh coriander. Okay. So you can totally eat the stalks when it comes to fresh coriander. Don't be like afraid of the stalks. I just took them out because it was like, I knew it was going to be beautiful, and I thought I might just sprinkle a few over. If you're going to sprinkle a few over, it's nice to have them without stalks. Hot tip, by the way, if you are going to blitz coriander with a stick blender, take the stalks out because they go quite stringy. Or the correct word is actually fibrous. They are fibrous. And so what happens is when you stick blend them, you actually get like a whole lot of almost like a rope wrapping itself around the stick blender, and it can actually seize the stick blender so that it doesn't actually work anymore. So with coriander, at least run your knife through the coriander to break up the fibrousness of the stalks. Okay, here we go. Sauce is looking good. Let's see if I can get down. There we go. Yeah, you can see that cream and coconut cream thickened beautifully. Okay, so now that we're here and we're at the reduced stage, I am going to add in the other ingredients, which are Garam Masala. There we go. And we've got cayenne pepper and paprika, and then Garam Masala. Now, I have to just say, Garam Masala is like the only spice that breaks the rules of spice for me, because cayenne pepper and paprika are actually ground down dehydrated pepper and chili, or red pepper or capsicum or pimento and chili. And so when you add them at the end, what they do is thicken a sauce, and they actually make it red or enrich it with flavor. But you don't have to toast them because they're not ground down seeds. So they don't have like oils in them that are going to fuse whatever you're cooking. And so it's totally cool to add pepper or paprika or cayenne pepper at the end of cooking. But the thing I don't understand is in some of these Indian recipes, it's getting pretty hot and aggressive here, they add garam masala at the end. So it's like the only actual true spice that I've seen people add near the end. All right, now we have a thick sauce. So look at this. Even adding that paprika made it super thick. There we go. Hey, how good does that look like? Shiny, delicious, rich. Oh, yes. Okay. All right, now we're going to go and plate. So please hold. We're going to do this thing. Okay, this is back to the tray. And I'm just going to move all this actually. There we go. Let's just move stuff. And then I'm going to bring this back.
plug us in again so we don't lose power. Here we go. Voila. And we're going to plate there. So here I have the paneer. So that is, like I said, you saw earlier, for those of you coming late, now you know. And here is the chicken option. And then here is the cauli rice. So let's get it all nice and tight in here. Cauli rice. And so imagine that this was really, really warm. And you just microwaved it. And then I'm going to show you how this works. So let's just serve a bowl of it. Okay, so the chicken's going in here. No, we have to simmer the thing in the chicken. Okay. No. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this off in the frying pan. So I've got my chicken. All right, bring it back. Now I forgot I was catering for 2 different cuisines here. So let me grab the oven. Let me grab the camera. And then we're going to do it like this. So the only reason I'm doing it this way, by the way, is because I didn't want to soil the vegetarian option. Okay. So we've got our sauce and we've got our chicken, and I'm using the saucy pan. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a little ladle and there we go. Take some of this delicious sauce, and because the chicken's still raw, we have to cook it off a little bit. There we go. And then we just finish it off in the sauce. So we give it a little bit of a simmer. We want to warm it through. We want to get it all the way so that's basically boiling some of the chicken. In fact, you can probably get away with adding a little bit more. There we go. Probably just add it all in. Okay, that's fine. Okay, and then lay a little bit of sauce over it. Ladles of love. Okay. And let's get a mixing spoon. Just stir it around. And then the last step is right at the end. You don't really want to cook your herbs because you want them to give you a burst of freshness. So when you're adding fresh herbs, a lot of people want to get it done. And so they want to clean up and stuff. And so they're like, oh, just add in all the coriander, the basil now. But when it's basil or soft herbs, so basil, dill, parsley, coriander, any of those, you want to add them at the very last minute, even as you take it off the heat, because it's going to give you that burst of freshness. So where's my curry? Okay, here's the coriander. And you've got many options with this. You can finely chop it, or you can just rip it. So if you've ever heard of ripped coriander, this is, it's basically like if you had to take, no, I was going to make a joke about some ripped guys. Okay, here we go. Didn't land well. All right, not even before I said it. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to whip this coriander in here. Oh my goodness. Wendy said it looks beautiful. So totally have the nod of approval here. And it's cooked through. And because it's kind of steamed, what you'll find is when you steam chicken, it doesn't go as dry. Rock and roll, baby. Okay, so here we go. Okay. Are we looking on the? We're looking at the. There we go. Okay, there's the butter chicken. It's done. Yum. And now we're going to bring my face over. And we're going to work out what to do with the paneer. So I guess the reason I don't want to actually soil the paneer is because someone's going to eat it later. And my advice to them is to actually warm this in the oven because it's all browned off, and then smother it and then cover it in the sauce because you don't need to cook it through. And so now you've got backup sauce and you've got your paneer. But let me give you a little bit of a serving suggestion with the butter chicken that we've got. So I'll get a little bowl. Where's the bowl? There's my bowl. And move that out the way. So we're going to serve up a little bit of cauli rice. If you have low carb tortillas, by the way, I highly recommend using them. And if you're gluten-free, get gluten-free tortillas. Otherwise, you could use some kind of leaf to make it. Okay, and then we've got butter chicken, which we're going to spoon in. Saucy, rich, dark deliciousness. Like, I always get torn between picking the spices out or just leaving them in, because quite honestly, like, if you see the spice, then you know it's legit. Hey, you know it's not a packet sauce. And then finally, this has been sitting for like half an hour, and look at it. This is like, I can't even like pour it out the container. This is properly thick, legit. It is tzatziki, it's not raita. But tzatziki is just, the Indians should have just taken that one from the Greeks and said, all right, you guys did it better. We'll take it. So there we go. No offense if you're Indian. And it's just a tzatziki preference. And finally, where's my coriander? Oh, there we go. Okay. And finally, on my very, very first shoot, when I was still a chef, I thought we were going to style the food for a shoot. And the stylist basically pushed me aside and said, please don't touch any of the food. But she did ask me for one thing. And she said, I need you to open this punnet of Woolworths coriander and find me a princess. And what she was saying is that in every punnet of coriander, there is one sprig of coriander that is the perfect sprig. And she calls that her princess. So now, because we're kind of styling for the shoot, where are we now? There we go. I'm going to put a princess on this baddie. All right, Wayne, you just hold it. So a princess usually has a longer stem. Now, I know you're sitting there like, what is the princess going to look like? Okay. No. Right, well, this is a goodie. And if you can't find like a long and elegant one, then you can take a cluster and you kind of make a bit of a scene, like so much coriander, abundance. You create abundance on the dish. There we go. So now we have an abundance. Unfortunately, I couldn't find the princess. Sorry, Diane. That's the woman who taught me about the princess. So we're just going to put a whole lot of coriander on there and say, look, it's wonderful. Okay, but that is butter chicken with raita and with cauli rice pilaf. And so these recipes are all from the original Real Meal Revolution, which is out of print in South Africa. Can you believe it? It's just gone. So if you want it, you have to order it from the outer world, from the first world, which you can do at Amazon or wherever. But it is also available in our app. So if you're watching this in our Facebook group, which is the official Real Meal Revolution official Banting Keto Facebook group, you'll see there's a link in one of the pinned posts where you can get a free trial. So you can get access to every single one of my recipes, 600 rand. There's 600 recipes, and it's 200 rand a month. But you don't have to sign up, or you don't have to pay. You just register, you do a free week, and you can cancel if you like. Otherwise, you can stick around and you can use the meal plans and the meal tracking tools to like get your macros and stick to a keto diet and lose weight. But failing that, you can sign up for free. And you can grab this butter chicken recipe and go crazy. Spoil yourself, spoil your friends, and lose weight while you do it. So please leave a comment if you enjoyed that. Tell me what you think. Tell me what else you'd love me to make. Tell me what you do for your butter chicken to make it more awesome. Do you use thigh? Do you use breast? Do you have a tandoor oven at home? If you do, send me your address, please. And finally, please like this post and share it. We want to get as many people eating delicious, healthy butter chicken as possible. And if you're vegetarian, don't forget the paneer. That is the plan B. Okay. Rock and roll, peeps. Thanks so much for watching. Keep it real. Take it easy and look after yourselves. We'll see you soon.